If you've been anywhere near YouTube over the last few months, you've probably noticed that one of the biggest internet franchises in history has somehow turned into one of the strangest legal battles the platform has ever seen. What started as a bizarre series about toilets with human heads fighting people with cameras for heads somehow exploded into a global phenomenon with billions of views, official merchandise, games, collaborations with massive companies, and even reports of a movie in development. But behind all of that success sits a controversy that has left fans confused, creators frustrated, and lawyers rubbing their hands together. At the center of everything is Alexei Gerasimov, better known as Defuk Boom, the creator who turned a ridiculous internet joke into one of YouTube's biggest success stories. The problem is, a lot of people are now asking whether he even controls the thing he created anymore. And that's where this entire situation starts getting messy. Like a lot of creators who suddenly find themselves sitting on an insanely valuable intellectual property, Alexei eventually entered into business agreements with companies that could help expand the franchise beyond YouTube. On paper, that makes perfect sense. Running one of the biggest entertainment brands on the internet isn't something a single creator can easily manage forever. Merchandise, licensing, distribution, trademarks, legal protection, negotiations with game studios, retailers, and production companies all require teams of people. So bringing in a company to help isn't unusual. The problem is that when contracts start transferring ownership rights, creative control, trademarks, copyrights, or monetization responsibilities, things become a lot more complicated than uploading funny videos every couple of weeks. Around the same time the franchise continued exploding in popularity, another company entered the picture claiming that they, not Alexei or the company managing the franchise, had legitimate ownership over Skibidi Toilet. That's an enormous claim because ownership of an intellectual property worth millions of dollars isn't something you casually argue over on social media. It determines who controls licensing, who earns money, who gets to approve projects, and who has the legal authority to stop other people from using the property. According to the claims made during the dispute, this company argued that concepts resembling Skibidi Toilet existed before the series became famous. They pointed toward earlier ideas involving toilets with human heads battling camera-headed characters. Now, at first glance, that sounds dramatic, but copyright law usually doesn't protect broad concepts or general ideas. You can't own the idea of talking animals, superheroes wearing capes, or robots fighting aliens. What copyright normally protects is the specific way those ideas are expressed. The exact characters, artwork, animation, dialogue, storylines, music, and creative execution matter far more than the basic premise. That's why many people following the case believed the ownership argument wasn't nearly as strong as it initially sounded. But here's where things started becoming genuinely concerning. Instead of waiting for years of courtroom arguments before anything happened, copyright enforcement tools immediately entered the picture. On platforms like YouTube, copyright claims move incredibly fast because websites have legal incentives to respond quickly whenever someone submits what appears to be a valid takedown request. In practice, that means videos often disappear long before anyone fully determines who is actually right. The official Skibidi Toilet uploads reportedly became targets of takedown notices. Entire episodes disappeared, viewers suddenly couldn't access content they had watched before, and confusion spread across the fanbase almost overnight. Imagine waking up to discover that one of the biggest series on YouTube suddenly has missing episodes because another company says they own everything. Most viewers wouldn't even know what was happening. They would simply assume the videos had been deleted or hidden. For a creator whose videos generate millions upon millions of views, every day those uploads remain unavailable represents enormous losses in attention, advertising revenue, and momentum. YouTube rewards consistency, and interruptions like this can dramatically affect a channel's performance. The situation reportedly escalated even further, with communications suggesting additional takedowns could follow if negotiations didn't happen quickly. Whether those messages were intended as negotiation tactics or something else, they certainly didn't help calm the situation. Instead, they made everything appear even more hostile. Eventually, the dispute reached federal court. This is where internet drama transforms into something much more serious, because judges begin reviewing evidence instead of social media posts. Early court decisions appeared to favor the company managing the official Skibidi Toilet rights, with emergency orders being issued to prevent further harm while the case continued. Emergency court orders aren't handed out casually. Generally speaking, courts require convincing reasons before granting that kind of relief. Later developments reportedly strengthened those protections even further, suggesting the court believed there was enough evidence to preserve the status quo until the larger dispute could be resolved. But while everyone focused on the legal fight between companies, another question quietly became more important than anything else. Where was Alexei? This entire franchise exists because of one creator's imagination. Fans subscribed because they enjoyed his animation style, his humor, his bizarre storytelling, and the unique energy he brought to every episode. They weren't subscribing because they loved contracts or corporate structures. Naturally, people expected the creator himself to be leading the conversation. Instead, many fans noticed that he seemed unusually quiet throughout much of the controversy. That silence immediately sparked speculation. Some believed he had voluntarily stepped back. Others believed legal agreements prevented him from speaking openly. Still others wondered whether he had lost more control over the franchise than anyone originally realized. Various screenshots, messages, and online discussions fueled even more speculation. Some suggested payment difficulties. Others suggested communication problems. Some claimed sanctions complicated financial transfers. Others questioned who controlled channel operations and monetization. The challenge with leaked conversations is that they rarely provide the entire story. Individual screenshots often lack surrounding context, making it difficult to determine exactly what happened. Nevertheless, the growing uncertainty caused many fans to become increasingly protective of the original creator. Then another development reignited discussion across social media. The YouTube channel associated with Dafuk Boom underwent changes that many viewers interpreted as symbolic. To some fans, it looked like the brand was becoming larger than the individual who created it. Whether that perception accurately reflected reality or not almost didn't matter, because perception itself drives online communities. Once enough people begin believing that a creator has lost ownership over their own success, emotions start running high. Support campaigns emerged across social media, with viewers asking for greater transparency and hoping Alexei would eventually explain everything in his own words. From the outside looking in, many people felt they were missing critical information. Without seeing the complete contracts involved, nobody could confidently explain what rights had been transferred, what responsibilities each party held, or what confidentiality obligations existed. That uncertainty created an information vacuum, and the internet has never been particularly good at leaving empty spaces unfilled. Rumors spread rapidly, theories multiplied, and every small development became another reason for debate. At the same time, another controversy began brewing, involving fan creators. People who had spent months making animations, mods, edits, games, and commentary videos centered around Skibidi Toilet claimed they were receiving copyright notices or legal communications. This introduced another difficult conversation that appears whenever an internet franchise becomes commercially successful. How aggressively should companies protect intellectual property? On one side, businesses have legitimate reasons to stop counterfeit products, fake mobile games, unauthorized merchandise, and people pretending to represent the official brand. Failing to protect valuable intellectual property sometimes creates even bigger legal problems later. On the other side, online communities often thrive because fans create their own content. Reaction videos, animations, theories, memes, mods, fan art, and commentary all contribute to keeping interest alive between official releases. If enforcement becomes overly aggressive, companies risk damaging the very community responsible for helping the franchise become successful in the first place. That's why so many major gaming companies eventually embraced content creators rather than constantly fighting them. Every situation depends on individual circumstances, but history has repeatedly shown that communities respond far better when they feel welcomed instead of threatened. Another major topic throughout this controversy involved fair use. Many people hear that phrase without fully understanding what it means. Fair use isn't a magical shield that protects every upload. Instead, courts evaluate several different factors, including whether content is transformative, whether it comments on the original work, how much material is used, and whether it harms the market for the original creation. Commentary, criticism, reviews, reporting, and parody often receive stronger protection than simple re-uploads. Every case depends on its specific facts, which explains why fair use disputes rarely have simple answers. Throughout all of this, the biggest loser has arguably been the audience. Fans simply wanted to enjoy new episodes, watch creators discuss the series, make their own animations, and continue participating in the community they helped build. Instead, they found themselves watching legal disputes unfold across multiple companies while trying to determine which claims were accurate and which were exaggerated. It's an unfortunate reminder of what happens whenever a creative project grows from an independent passion project into a multi-million-dollar entertainment property. Suddenly, the conversation shifts away from creativity and toward contracts, ownership rights, licensing agreements, trademarks, litigation, and enforcement. Those subjects might be necessary from a business perspective, but they're rarely why audiences fell in love with the content in the first place. Looking at everything that's happened so far, several things seem clear. First, intellectual property becomes incredibly valuable once a franchise reaches global popularity, and valuable intellectual property inevitably attracts legal disputes. Second, creators should fully understand every agreement they sign, because ownership, control, monetization, and enforcement rights have long-term consequences that extend far beyond immediate financial opportunities. Third, platforms relying on rapid copyright systems continue facing criticism because legitimate content sometimes disappears before ownership disputes receive proper legal review. Finally, transparency matters. Whether you're a creator, a company, or a fan, uncertainty almost always creates more conflict than honest communication. Until more information becomes public or ongoing legal matters conclude, many questions will remain unanswered. Did every party handle the situation appropriately? Were some enforcement actions too aggressive? Could communication have prevented portions of the backlash? Those questions will likely continue being debated for quite some time. One thing is certain, though. Skibidi Toilet started as one creator uploading strange animations to the internet for fun. Nobody expected those videos to become one of YouTube's largest franchises, generate billions of views, inspire games and merchandise, or become the center of an international copyright dispute involving multiple companies. Yet, here we are. It's a story that perfectly illustrates both the incredible opportunities and the unexpected complications that arrive when an internet creation becomes valuable enough for everyone to want a piece of it. Fans ultimately aren't asking for endless legal battles. They're asking for clarity. They want confidence that the creator who built the franchise is being treated fairly. They want companies to protect legitimate rights without discouraging the community that helped make the series successful. Most of all, they want the focus to return to what made Skibidi Toilet explode in the first place: creative, entertaining videos that united millions of viewers around one of the internet's weirdest success stories.